Hello, friends, and thank you for joining us in one more of our continuing series, starting in spring 2020, exploring the things that horses can teach us in the face of a global pandemic, which has canceled our face-to-face sessions with our horses. Today, we'll explore the horse-human connection's wisdom for the times we live in through the perspective of the dark times facing us. On the one hand, with a global pandemic and climate crisis and their impact on our lives. And on the other hand, what the natural world through the lens of horses and mythic imagination can offer us to find a fresh vision for the future and tools to sustain us through the impact of these dark times. So let's begin with a bit of breathing to bring us to centering. Taking a deep belly breath in, and imagine as we do so that we're gathered in a circle together. And then as you exhale, do a rapid exhale and holding for a moment after that exhale and discovering that place of stillness. And do that several more times. A deep belly breath in slowly and a quick exhale and holding for a few seconds. And as you do that, I'm going to light this candle, which delightfully has a set of musicians holding our candle from the Andean culture. And I light this candle as a beacon of how we can find better ways of seeing eye to eye and finding fresh vision for making our way into the future. I want to introduce some others who will be joining us today to present and help us out. First is Carolyn Jost, our board president, who will be speaking later on. Hello, Carolyn. And Denise Krause, our techie person, who is behind the scenes, but there she is. And then there's Peggy Dean, who will be helping us ground into the larger picture here in just a few moments. Mary Beth Watt will be sharing her poetic words later on. And Jen Lieber is on her phone because she lives out on a farm where she doesn't have the best internet connection, but you'll be hearing her voice as she is our creative maven and will be delighting us with her talents here shortly. Jen and Peggy are two folks who have been with Writing Beyond right from the beginning. So I'd like to ask Peggy if she would please take us into the wider world of the 7 directions. Thank you, Peggy.
Okay. If it's convenient for everyone, I'd like to ask you to stand so that we can face the different directions as we address those spirits. So first, facing east, O great spirit of the east, of the yellow horses, season of spring and place of sunrise, we call you to bring your inspiration and creativity to us as we enter new ways of doing and being. And then as we face the south, O great spirit of the south, of the red horses, season of summer and place of growth and harvest, we call you to bring your energy and warmth and colors of creation to our minds and feet and lead us into the adventures of the south. And then as we face the west, O spirit of the west, of the black horses, season of fall and place of preparation, help us to understand endings to let the sunset remind us that, like the sun, we will arise to a new day, to a new life. As we face the north, oh, strong, powerful spirit of the north, of the white horses, season of winter and place of purification, give us strength that we may stand in blizzards without being blown down or overwhelmed. We give thanks for your strength, and we welcome our courage now. And then as we orient to the above, spirit above of the mythical horses, place of spiritual influence, and vast beyond, let our minds walk among the stars and moon and in the daylight of the sun, and please shine your light of wisdom on this gathering. And then spirit below of the horses we see and touch. May our connection with them root and ground us in our learning and sharing. We give thanks for the earth's nourishment and welcome its abundance. And oh, wondrous direction of the center, we place our hands on our hearts to remind us of the mysteries that lie within us. We bring our open hearts to this gathering and welcome the spirits of our horse ancestors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peggy. So as we move forward with this great orb of being around us, if you could go to the next slide, please, Denise. We'll be working throughout this next time together with what the horses offer us for these times, how they help us learn to sense, hear, and see more than our usual senses offer us. Their history-long partnership for empowering us to enter new frontiers. They return us to our hearts where our greatest resources reside and provide a restoration of our awareness of our vital relationship with the natural world, providing a guidance to balance the fierce energies around us. So we're going to be looking at, we're all aware of the change and upheaval that we've been going through lately, and it's something that's been a part of the past, but now it seems like it's happening on many more levels than we're used to. There's the personal, there's the collective, there's the cultural, there's nature, and more, even at a cosmic level. It's all connected. We're more aware of our connections than ever before. We've got a global pandemic on our hands and a climate crisis of epic proportions. And locally here in the Rogue Valley, we've got wildfires with persistent smoke, drought, and thousands still homeless from the ravages of a year ago. And blessedly, we have blue skies and sunshine today. So we feel really blessed for that. So as quantum physics tells us, and others as well, we see the world as we are, not as it is. And so in these times, we must learn to see with different eyes, to see in the dark, so that a new vision can carry us through these dark times. And this has got to be a collective vision from a multiplicity of individual visions, both human and, in our case, horses, with their perspective as well. And their connection with us throughout history. It's interesting, Peggy was pointing out to me that the horse has laterally placed eyes, and therefore it has monocular vision, it's called, which means that it can see two different fields of vision at one time, a much larger field of vision than we have with our frontally placed eyes, which is called a binocular vision. So with that wider perspective, we can learn from the horse how to use our peripheral vision to see the larger landscape of our lives. As another friend has said, evolution is no longer enough. We are heading for and must embrace transformation on all levels if we are going to rise to the challenge before us. David C. Corton's recent book, Change the Story, Change the Future, A Living Economy for a Living Earth, he speaks of that we must move from the rule of the money and market story to the living earth and living cosmos story. And the evolution he speaks of has taken on a new urgency and the character of a need for radical transformation instead of evolution. And as I love to, as we'll be working with words today, as you'll see, poetry often offers an oracular insight. And here are some words from Theodore Roethke that are relevant to our dark times that Michael Meade introduced me to a few weeks ago. And they go like this. In a dark time, the eye begins to see. I meet my shadow in the deepening shade. I hear my echo in the echoing woods, a lord of nature weeping to a tree. I live between the heron and the wren, beasts of the hill and serpents of the den. What's madness but nobility of soul at odds with circumstance? The day's on fire. I know the purity of pure despair. My shadow pinned against a sweating wall. That place among the rocks, is it a cave or a winding path? In these times, the edge is what I have. So reaching towards the power of a radical new vision, one that is collective, even though there may be lots of varying opinions within that collective. The power of the herd we're reaching for. Connection is critical. And Jen Lieber has put together a video that she has developed with her horse wisdom for many years. And she's here to share some of it with us through this video. It's a wisdom about connection with horses, where Jen steps into the space between her and the horse for allowing and creating something new in their interaction. So let's see Jen with her horses and hear her words of wisdom.
Hello, and welcome to what I'm calling Precious Time Together. In a moment, we'll see a few video clips of the herd allowing me, their human, to integrate our energies and desires in a mutually shared space. This is a process and a practice. I invite you to notice how setting boundaries and allowing shared energetic moments create the unfolding story of our deepening connection. Horses value space, and it's what we do in that shared space, our intention, our energy, our approach, that's important to them. Look for the questions and how body language shapes the conversation. Notice touching and timing, pressure and release, flow, mirroring, and mostly see if you can feel the art of connection. I've intentionally decided not to comment during the horse interactions, leaving the sounds of the farm in the morning time to fill our hearts. Hear the birds and be open to the subtle sounds of the horses around you. Did you notice? I stepped the black and white mare out of my bubble as a way of focusing and deepening the possibilities of our conversation. In this next clip, see if you can find the moment I asked the brown horse to give me space. Is there a word or feeling that comes to mind after witnessing this cultivation of shared possibilities? You could write it in the chat if you like. This next clip is less questions and more being. For me, it's pure joy in having found our groove, in just being us, moment to moment. Once we all claim our own space, our energy, our stories, relaxing into just being allows the possibility for finding shared moments. And that underlying harmony creates the opportunity to move forward collectively. The beauty of being heard, both HEARD and GRD. Today, the horses and I thank you for spending precious time together.
Thank you so much, Jen, for that wonderful look into your life there and the connections that are possible for us with our horses. And that connection is one of which we'll be exploring here together, because in dark times, our eyes need to find new ways of seeing, to learn to see in the dark. We have, on the one hand, the pandemic and climate change, and on the other, the power of stories, the power of the herd and community, and the wider vision possible for us. So we're looking in that space between those two opposites to find something that we can take back to our daily lives, where it's easy to become discouraged. Urgency can become a weight on the soul. There's despair in not knowing what's going to happen, or to relate in an effective way to what's needed. But it's something that we can't avoid. The question is how to move through it. And it's not simple hope, but that which lies in the depths of imagination, sparked by stepping into that space between. And that's what we're going to be exploring today. You know, one of the problems can be that we're not aware of what's going on, and therefore we contribute to the problems around us. But then when we become aware, we can get weighed down or paralyzed. And transformation asks us to look at how not to be paralyzed and how to move through the despair. As Michael Meade reminds us, we descend on sorrow and rise on joy. And as Peggy Rubin teaches, Peggy, who is actually with us here today, joy that we can rise on is the fundamental principle underlying all of life, always present, though we may lose sight of it, but it's always available to us. So mythic stories give us guideposts on this journey. They help us to find a deeper common story where our fundamental disagreements are not relevant anymore. And so we want to look today, I want to share with you one of my favorite stories, and some of you have no doubt and are no doubt familiar with this story. And it comes from the Native American traditions of the woman in the cave. And the way the story goes is that there is this woman in the cave who's available to us if we can just find our way to that cave, that where you can find the knowledge that you are seeking for any question you may have. The roads and pathways to it are always available to us, but it's still hard to find our way to that cave sometimes. But if you make your way there, you'll find an old woman in there weaving. She's weaving a most beautiful garment that she's been working at for a very long time. And it is something that she's just about finished with. She's weaving in quills, porcupine quills, into the hem, and 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 biting down on the quills to make them stick into the hem. But then another thing is she's completing this beautiful garment, which is our world. This garment represents the world that she's weaving. And she occasionally has to step to the back of the cave where there's a cauldron on a fire. And that fire has been burning from time out of mind, from time before sound. That fire has been burning. And in that cauldron are all the seeds of the world's fruits and vegetables. And so she occasionally has to make her way back into the cave to add some water and stir it so that they can continue without burning, providing life on our planet. So as she moves back and adds a bit of water and stirs the stew, while she's back there, a black dog comes into the cave and he sees a loose thread and he pulls on that thread. He pulls on it and to the point where he completely unravels the entire beautiful weaving that she has been working on for so long. And when she makes her way back to the cave, what she finds is a mass of thread lying there on the floor in complete chaos. She stops and she considers what's happened, seeing this mess really and meditating on it. This is the time that we're in right now. So much having unraveled in our lives in so many levels, falling apart. We're at a huge kairotic moment in history. So what she does in this cave, she picks up a loose thread and she starts weaving. And as she's weaving, she realizes that she has a vision of something even more beautiful than what she had before. And she begins weaving the world back together again. And she even finds a way to be grateful to that black dog. So we are each going to pick up a thread and make this world. We who are agents of imagination and who partner with horsepower. So if you could change it to the next slide. Another way of looking at that woman is that she is an image of, from another cultural tradition. She is the Sophia. You can see her as, the Sophia is a deeply feminine principle from nature and from ancient creation stories. She wove our world and she helps us weave something new. She's present with us even now. And we can contribute to a healing field of Sophia, who is like that woman in the cave, with our actions that can become a daily practice. And when those actions are generated from that in-between place, they can offer us sustenance when we are discouraged. So I'd like us to take a moment to, as we move into the opportunity to reflect on this in-between place for ourselves, to take this into our bodies for a moment. In your right hand, imagine the climate crisis and the wildfires. And in your left hand, the power of imagination, or the power of community, the power of ancient wisdom. And in between those two resides you. And we're going to take an opportunity to find something at that in-between place. And for that we can take back to our individual lives. So in that left hand too is the large heart of the horse and what horses have offered the human imagination. And then sensing, bringing those to you into your heart area, sensing yourself, connecting those two polarities, like that Sophia woman in the cave, considering the chaos before her. And like we saw with Jen, working with the space between her and the horse. I'd like you to pick up your pen and a piece of paper and just to take a moment to find such threads in that cave, to pick up and weave the new world as agents of imagination who can partner with the horsepower as it has sustained us throughout human history and today. Taking up your pen and one sheet of paper and just spend the next few minutes, next 2 minutes, writing whatever comes to you, whatever emerges for you from that space in between, from your own sensing into your body's wisdom, your geniuses, if you will, the threads that you want to pick up. Like it might be inclusiveness instead of exclusiveness in the world, or it might be more of the feminine woven in with the masculine. It might be some creative endeavor, whatever. Just let words or phrases or sentences come forth onto the page with no censoring. Just let words come as they will. All are good. And then after this, Jen is going to take us forward after the 2 minutes with some further creative exploration. But for now, just let the words come onto your page for 2 minutes. And Denise is going to play some music to enhance that. So here you go.
Hi everyone, it's Jen. I hope you all can hear me. If you can, let's take the next few seconds to just wrap up that last intended heartfelt thought.
Yeah, we'll give people another minute or so.
All right. I hope you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Great. I'm really looking forward to allowing some precious time together. I hope as you were writing and as you were unfolding into your own hearts and thoughts and discoveries, that you may have found something that you didn't know was there. You may have laid something down or picked something up. So you have this collection of words in front of you, the ones that you allowed from your own space to come onto your page. And what I'd like us to do now is we revisit those threads. I'd like you to just generally scan or read back through. And as you go over a word that has resonance or meaning or in your heart, you can feel it. Like sometimes I can feel the moment before the horse turns their head. It's that little space or pause in between. There's a little tension or excitement. So as you reread your threads of what you've written, circle 2 or 3 of the words that stand out. They don't need to make sense. They don't have to be connected. Just take a few 30 seconds to a minute to reread and circle 2 or 3 words. Okay, so now that we've gone back over and you guys have circled a few words that have held some sort of spark for you, I'd like you to take those words and just transfer them to the bottom of your page or to the other side, someplace where you can find them easily. And it could, I have 4 words, so it can be more than 2 or 3 if you need. Okay, now that you have those words all kind of somehow collected at the bottom of your page, oftentimes what I do before I get ready to go in and be with my horses is I do just a little bit of mindful centering. So I just take a minute to take a deep breath, find myself inside my body, and then prepare for something I can't even know is going to happen. It's that unexpected moment that says, okay, I've arrived and I'm ready. So do that for yourself. Take a little breath, breathe out, look at the words that you've written down. And in that moment, see if there's another word that comes up out of the existence of the words that you've collected at the bottom of the page. If something pops up for you, write that word down too. Take a deep breath. Arrive right here. Okay. Now I hope everybody's been given enough time to be able to collect the words that have come through them and found a little way to collect those down at the bottom of the page. Now what we want to do, this is the really fun part. We're going to take a second sheet of paper, and you may have a pen or pencils, or you may have other markers. You may use whatever medium or whatever comes to your mind to go ahead and just take that. When I get into the pasture with my horses, like you saw in the video, I spend a good amount of time getting ready to be flexible and fluid with them. And so you could see it in my body language, how I've opened up. So maybe before we get ready to grab our pen and pencil, you can just all move about. Just give yourself permission to know that there's a space in between you and whatever it is you're about to create, and you will go ahead and allow that honor. When you get ready, we're going to do a minute or so of doodling. It's not about right or wrong or what you create. There's no agenda. Like when I'm out with my horses, it's just a moment to moment impulse. I'm following the energy. When I get a little lost with the horses, the best thing I do is just wait, and then I feel that connection pick up and I just flow again. Be curious and open. Just explore the connection over producing. You can do it with your eyes closed. You can do it with them open. You can change. You can breathe. So next minute, we'll just take on a little doodle. Precious time doodling. So I hope that everybody's had enough time here to collect a little something on their page that's given them a little conversation with themselves. Enjoy that space in between to discover something that you might not have known was there. We're getting ready to go into our chat or breakout rooms. And as we do that, what I'd like us to do is know that we're going to explore our doodle and have whatever comes to mind, we see the doodle, be something that we collect and discover and share with someone else in our breakout room. And then we'll take a breath. And in order to widen our perspective, we go ahead and we'll take and turn that page a quarter turn or however you want to turn it. And after you've shared looking at it the first view, create a second view and turn it and be able to share something new, something undiscovered by just turning the page. And then we'll come back and we'll do a little more collection after that. Now, does anybody have questions? If not, I think Denise is going to be the gal that gets us all put into our breakout rooms.
Yeah, and Jen, I think that one room may have 3 people. Okay.
Okay, well, that'll be the party room. I hope I'm in that.
Okay.
We're going to have about 8 minutes. So we'll just figure out a way for all of us to take a few minutes to share our perspective, our drawings, and then turn for a new perspective and share again. Ooh, am I in a breakout room?
Jude.
Okay,
Are we back?
yeah, we are.
We're back.
We're all back. Jan, you're muted. There you go.
Okay, now I'm back. Yes?
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay, good. There's something about being in a herd to help you know when you're muted and unmuted, for sure. So what I want to do before we move on is oftentimes when I produce something, and it's kind of like that when I'm with the horses and then I watch it on a video, it's there's a strengthening and a deepening to the connection when I allow the words and the doodling or the mark making, that impulse to combine those together in some way that allows the culmination. I was with the horses. I set up one horse, the black and white mare and we moved around together. And then I got the brown horse and I together. And then in that one gelled moment, the three of us were all standing there in just such joy of being together in that moment, that it was really something that I and power of that, even when I'm not with them any longer. So I'm going to invite us now to kind of look at the words and look at your image and just see that might be another word. It might be all the words that were on your page. Just take a minute to add a word or two or three anywhere on the page in any way you would like in order to kind of crystallize and deepen the meaning of what we have just gleaned together. Different perspectives, and maybe we're able to glean a few different ideas that maybe have just a few days, but it looks like we might still have discovered something. If anyone wants to share one of their that may have found something in the herd, every member of the herd is important, and any member can have the most important information in any given moment. So if the lion is near the littlest herd member, that herd member lifts up her head and pricks her ears forward. That whole herd turns to listen. So I'm wondering if there's anyone in our herd right now that has important information or an excitement or a discovery that they'd like to share with us.
Yes, so if you
Did anybody
you can
find
share, if you can
anything
share
that-
something, you'll need to unmute. And I want to share that if you can see this, this is, I actually started this, it started off like this. That was the right side up, but the upside down version reminded me, I guess I'd say, that I am supported by the cosmos, which I sometimes forget, the stars and the larger universe. And then these, as Michelle pointed out, these were kind of like dolphins, but they looked like a smile to me, smiling eyes. And that meant that fundamental joy that's always present. And so I just found it really wonderful that that is what came out of my sort of unconscious doodling. And those weren't the words that I had originally chosen, but they came out of that. Those words that I had chosen, which were connection and balance and heart-centered. So, someone else.
Hi.
Hi, Christine.
Hi. So this pretty cool doodle came out. I don't know if you
Beautiful.
see it, but there, you know, it kind of started as a spiral and then this kind of Willendorf figure in the middle with breasts.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
Yeah, can you see? And then, you know, sort of an arrow which presents itself with two directions, but is actually in one. And then when I turned it, Mary Beth pointed out, it's kind of a spiral ATV. Oh,
Yeah.
covering good ground here. But then, you know, sort of the, I wrote a few phrases, but let me say, you know, the grounded feminine center, and that, you know, process as a spiral in and out, that we surface, you know, like your quote from Michael Meade, we descend on sorrow and we rise on joy, very much feels like that to me afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
in hindsight, you know. And yeah, sort of a cosmic connection here. And also really the necessity, there's also a lot of groundedness. I feel a lot of grounding in this, even though
Mm-hmm.
it seems a little, it could be construed as woo-woo, nice hit of LSD, but it came out of my heart and my psyche, and I'm just in awe, actually. I find it very, very helpful right now, and a nice balance to it. And this is sort of the fruits. I see these as kind of the spin-offs when I hold it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I mean, wow, 8 minutes.
Christine, I love that you found such support in something as simple as allowing your own body to feel and create. And then one simple perspective change, a shift of the paper, gains you a whole inner story that allows you to feel something that you may not have known was there. And this illustration, as you've explained it and as you've created it, will be carried with you. Just like when you see me and the horses, those movements that we have together, that place that we discover together, we come together and I can take that with me. Now,
Yes. Thank you for saying that, Jen. Can't hear
who
you.
I am. Thank you for sharing lovely opportunity to support. All right.
Someone else. Carolyn.
Okay, so my phrase, one of my phrases was empathetic cooperation. And then the other one was cherishing and preserving diversity. So I made this little doodle, and these are actually supposed to represent like different entities. And then there's threads between them representing cooperation. I didn't get very far with that, but when we were in our herd, one of my herd members, Hillary, her word was partnership. And I kind of thought that that's kind of what we were all talking about. All of us in our herd was partnership. And that's what collaboration and cooperation and empathy. And so anyway, I came up this time with creative partnerships. So that was it didn't really do much for me when I turned it. It still kind of said the same thing to me, but anyway, that was but it was great being in the herd, and that we were all kind of thinking in the same direction, and it came together in creative partnership for me. So.
Great, thank you, Carolyn. Someone else to share? Okay, Hillary, thank you.
Hello. Mine was about partnership, which is a very important word to me for many years, and it came up for my attention at a different set of workshops on Friday. So it's been on my mind all along. And my understanding of partnership from when I started thinking about it a lot, is that essentially everything is a partner with everything else. And it was wonderful to see Jen and the horses in what looked to me like a perfect partnership. But you know, we're in partnership, honest to God, with everything there is and everything there isn't, for that matter. And interestingly for me, when we went to the breakout rooms, I was all by myself for several minutes, and I thought, sit here and think about partnership, Bill. Anyway, so that when Carolyn talked about empathetic cooperation, I thought, yes, you know, we're on the same page here. And so just two thoughts. You know, I'm never going to be drawing something unless somebody is in the room with me, hitting me with a stick. So I wrote instead. And I was a herd of one. Thank you, Jen. That the little partnerships that we experience every day are preparing us for bigger partnerships. They're opening the door, they're teaching us, they're pointing us. Because if we do not actively partner with the world, there will not necessarily be a world to partner with. And then, so that was my first thought, was that we're being prepared for the larger partnership. And then right at the end, when we were invited, you know, to have one more thought, we're all at bottom. We're all one at bottom. Revel in the richness of our outward, really only apparent differences. There. Thank you.
Thank you, Hillary. And Jen's giving lots of good comments on the, and others too, Christine as well, in the chat, if you like to follow that. Anyone else like to share some discovery or a new question that came forward? Contributing to the herd as with, yeah, Mary Beth.
Yeah, I love what Hillary and everybody has been saying, and the partnership, the connection makes so much sense to me. And I feel like I want to also add something else to that. And to do that, I have to tell you that I started out writing too, Hillary. Can you figure that out? But what happened with me was, in my mind, a member of the herd, a horse, led me to another place where there were elders. And the elders were bringing messages about joining in community, bringing forth the old ways of being with the earth, and knowing that each man, woman, and child has a gift, and deciding what that gift is, valuing each equally. So that all seems to go along with what everyone has been saying. And what came out of that for me ultimately was, let's see if I can find my words here. I can't. Okay. To rebuild from the finest of all that we are. And that means seeing us all as partners.
Sweet. I can just, my mind sees and feels the fabric that will weave, you know, feels really good. Yeah. Anyone else like to share some little tidbit? We have a few more short minutes here before we move on. Jack, are you raising your hand? No, he says no. But- Hi, Jack and Connie.
You gonna say something?
No, when Trish asked whether I was raising my hand, I was
You're s- y-
no,
you're
just scratching my head. That's all.
Okay, okay. Glad you could join us.
Oh, we've been here.
Anyone else?
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
If no one else wants to share, I'd love to read briefly what I wrote in that beautiful 2 minutes that Jen guided us in. If it's okay.
Go for it. Thank you.
The cave one, yeah. I pick up the threads in the cave and I weave new life from the threads of many colors. The dark threads provide a contrast to make the colored threads and their patterns more apparent, more evocative in the grand design, and more inspiring to my heart in action. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine.
I'm loving this.
I see Robin's got a little partner there. Part of her herd. Well, maybe this is a good time to hear Mary Beth's words of poetry that she wrote in the last few days. There we go. We can read along as she reads to us.
Yeah, I love that the words are here for everyone. If you actually want to read them out loud, feel free, but I'll go ahead here. Awakening in a finite time. I awake to another morning filled with smoke from wildfires. They rage through our western states, fueled by rising heat and changing climate. Knowing that the pattern that causes them will not change taints my dreams with the odor of fear. Seeking a light of hope to lift me from despair, I shot a question to an unheeding universe. What can I do? In the silence that follows, I shake my head and get about the day. Donning a mask against the smoke and still raging COVID, I join my partner for our morning walk with the dogs. As I walk, I listen for the universe to tell me what it is I know, and I watch the wind, waiting for it to show me what I must do. My companions seem to understand, granting me silence and space, but no great knowing comes. Only the comfort of being with ones I love. Only the socially distanced companionship of fellow walkers. Only the peace of a day ready for me to fill it with moments of laughter. In these things, I find first contentment, then, as I allow myself to feel their meaning in my life, true joy. I recognize the answers then, for the universe has told me that I know love, and the wind has carried a message of coming days. And what I know, what I have always known, is that though this gift of life is finite, the giving of our love and joy is the eternal creation. And so much is left for us to give.
Thank you so much, Mary Beth, for taking us with you on that journey. And Jen, thank you for taking all of us on that creative journey into ourselves and a discovery of things to take home with us, take with us into the future. I want to ask Carolyn Jost to speak a few words as our board president. So Carolyn, if you could do your magic.
Thank you all so much for joining us. And thank you, Trish and Jen and Denise and Mary Beth and everybody for your contributions here. I've been really honored to serve as board president, and these past couple of years have been challenging, as you all know, but we've really thrived in so many ways. And it's thank you to all of you for your support and your contributions. It's really, there's a lot to be grateful for here. Anyway, as you know, next month, October, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And it's our big push, our big appeal during October. And we're also going to be having a virtual online auction. And we've got a lot of great items already gathered. So you'll be hearing more about that. And I welcome you to participate. Our goal for the month of October, which is ambitious but very attainable, is to raise $12,000 to help us continue to do what we're doing. And thank you again so much. I really needed this, just as I needed a couple days of fresh air and being able to sit outside and share time with you all. So thank you so much. And moving forward.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. Can you folks hear me? You can, okay. It's not showing on my screen. As is our custom, we ask everyone to please just put a word or two into the chat on your fresh vision for the future, your insight for what might sustain you. Just a few words for us to share with one another in the chat, sending them to everyone. So we'll just take a moment for that. So I have a closing poem that as part of the send out to us, a poem that came to my attention a few days ago. And here's how it goes. Welcome to the age of the beautiful weirdos. It's by John Rodell. This morning, the lady across from me in the waiting room asked me if I was ready for things to get back to normal. I smiled and shook my head. I wasn't very good at normal, I told her. I'd like to give weird a bit of try. She blinked. I blinked back. Things had gotten awkward. I always make things awkward. She blinked again. I responded with another blink. We were now communicating through eyelash Morse code. So I blinked the following message to her. I'm not waiting for things to go back to normal. Things are already way too ordinary for me to wish for it to have any more of a hold over me. To be honest, I'm waiting for things to become more abnormal. Normal had its time as the DJ. Normal played the same songs over and over. Typical's reign as the queen has gone on for so long that her crown has begun to grow into her skin. I know you can sense it too. This cocoon we are living in is starting to quiver, and our skin is starting to turn into polka-dotted butterfly wings. We are all unraveling in the most beautiful ways. Can't you feel it in your veins? Your plain blood is bleeding itself into the sharpest pattern of flowing plaid. You have shifted like a Corvette on an empty coastline highway at sunset. You can feel the hum deep inside the transmission of your soul. Your engine is growling with the power of 1 billion angelic horses. There's our horses. You are now able to go from the natural to the supernatural in under 3 seconds. You are racing toward your raw purpose. You are speeding toward your wild dream. You are no longer a bore. You are a blur. I know you can feel it too. You are as sick as I am about pretending that all we want is for things to be normal. Normal had its age. Let's give the unusual an epoch or two. This is the season of change, and your eyes are turning into a sponge, soaking up every beautiful oddity you see. And every now and then, when your eyes have absorbed just enough peculiar artwork of the divine, they begin to pour with tears of joy. I know you can feel it. Nothing is going back to the way things used to be, because our existence is a living piece of clay being molded under the loving hands of a cosmic potter. Normal doesn't live here anymore. It's been replaced with the abjectly strange. And isn't that how it should be? Every day we should wake up ready to journey into the irregular. This is the age for you to finally embrace the eccentric and exotic, which is perfect because that is exactly what you are, eccentric and exotic. There is nothing like you among the uncountable stars. You are the rarest, precious gemstone. You know it. You can feel it. Right under your scars, right behind your eyes, right inside of your heart is a river of light that has never existed before you were created. You are abjectly and beautifully abnormal. And that is why this age is perfect for you. Normal is out, atypical is in, and you are the loveliest deviation from the norm that has ever drawn a breath. And this is your time, and you are about to change the world. And I can't wait to watch. And so, may you pick up the thread of your own genius and weave our new world eye to eye with all sentient beings. And remembering from the wisdom from the Upanishads, from joy, all beings have come. In joy, all beings are sustained. To joy, all beings return. This is the highest teaching. This is the highest teaching. Thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon. Hope to see you down the trail one day soon.